Well, Sheila, the Queen is walking down O'Connell Street doing walkabout. Would you be there with a bouquet of flowers?
I don't think so, because it's highly unlikely that the Queen will be walking down O'Connell Street.
Right.
I think that would be... it just wouldn't happen.
Right, but you'd like to see her come to Dublin?
Absolutely, absolutely. I see it as a copper fastening of the Good Friday Agreement, the whole peace process. After all, she's not saying, I want to go to Ireland. She has been invited. I would imagine that it has been by President McAleese.
Yes.
I think President McAleese would like to see it happen during her tenure.
You know, you've talked about the politics, but you'd like to see it happen as well, because you're a bit of a fan of the Royals, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I study them.
Right.
Maybe there's something lacking in my life, I don't know. But I mean, for years and years, from way back, I have followed them, yes.
Right, and what's the attraction?
I think it started out as just... They seem to be living a more exciting life than we were in Ireland at the time.
They were in the 50s. There wasn't a lot of glamour around,
no,
and
exactly,
Margaret in particular was very glamorous.
She was, yeah.
Yeah. Who would be your favourite royal? So,
I think that the Duchess of Kent, who has now gone back to calling herself Catherine Kent. I think that she's a lady who has suffered from very severe depression all her life, who had to perform in public, wasn't reared to be a royal, and yet had to do the task. And then subsequently, when, you know, I suppose everything got in on her, she stepped back and did it in a very gracious way, and now teaches music, lives in an apartment in Notting Hill.
Right, you're obviously a fan, but what do you think, you know all about it, but what do you think to Brian, to people like Brian who say, you know, it's because of what's gone on in our history, it just shouldn't happen?
Well, that's crazy, you know, because either Brian accepts the Good Friday Agreement and the peace process, or he doesn't.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's bringing us back to a stage where the 60s, the 50s, you know,
didn't happen, or we didn't have that progress.
I mean, I never thought it happened in my lifetime. And I'm sure that I'm representative of a lot of people.
Okay, Brian, we'll come back later, but Richard, you're not a fan of the Royals, I'm guessing, and you're not in favour of a visit?
Well, I certainly wouldn't be jumping up and down to welcome the Queen.
Right.
I mean, you know, if she wants to get an Aer Lingus flight over and go and do the Viking tour around Dublin, or walk up and down O'Connell Street, that's fine. That's fine. But I don't think there should be a great state welcome or hoopla about it.
Why is that?
Well, it's not because of the Irish situation. I mean, I think whatever we may think about it, the overwhelming vote from Catholic and Protestant North and South for the agreement means that people have decided what they want their relationship to be with Britain.
Okay.
But my concern is about monarchy as such.
Right.
I think monarchy symbolises social inequality. It symbolises the idea that there's a privileged elite who, because of their birth, are going to live a very lavish lifestyle. It symbolises a sort of inevitability of a gap between rich and poor.
Right.
When you look at the enormous wealth of the Windsor family, which has been given to them by the British people, they have, for example, 625 private residencies with 6,000 rooms for, you know,
so
their families.
It's not so much the Queen as what she represents, that class system, that system of privilege.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't see why we should celebrate that. There's enormous money would be spent on the visit itself. I also have to say that there's a more contemporary issue of empire, which I've been actively involved in campaigning about, and that is what's happening in Iraq. I mean, 1 million people are dead as a result of the US British-led invasion. The British Empire, the British royal family is a symbol of Britain's involvement
as the head of state. So that's another reason, I'm sure, to be extra protest. Yes. Well, thank you. And we do have actually a caller, Siobhan in Kerry. Siobhan, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, Siobhan. Yeah, can you tell me, would you like to see the Queen come here?
Well, I just think that it's irrelevant. I just think, given the fact of, you know, the history, etc. I know we've made leaps and bounds with, you know, the peace agreement, etc. But I just think, you know, touching upon the empire, you know, it's all finished. It's all, you know, they put their flag here and there and said, oh, you know, this superiority. It's an arrogance.
Right.
That really is my crux. It's the complete arrogance of how dare they think that they could, you know, squash out entire races of people. And, you know,
Siobhan, I'm not going to make any assumptions, but I do detect a slight English accent. Did you grow up in England or spend time there?
I'm London-born Irish.
Right.
I mean, that's my tag, my title, if you like.
Well, would you see a visit bringing those communities in London, those communities in Birmingham, all over those Irish communities and people in Ireland closer together and celebrating that fact?
Well, I don't think so, to be honest, because, you know, birds of a feather flock together, and there is an underlying, and I'm not saying we have to turn the clock back to, you know, the bad times.
Right.
You know,
but
the economy is good and everything, but, you know, we've done that in the counties that we have in the Republic of Ireland.
Yes.
We're doing very well, thank you very much.
Okay.
We all know that the Celtic tiger...
Okay, well, Siobhan, sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off there, I'm afraid, because we are running out of time.
Okay.
Very quickly, a couple of texts. Gillian in Cork said the Queen is better off in her own country. Let her stay where she is and save herself the flight. After all, if anything happened to her, our health service is so bad here, she might end up in a trolley in a hospital corridor somewhere, which is a great thought. And anonymous texter said, we do not want to see the Queen in Ireland. She stands for too many bad feelings and wrongdoings down the years.
Okay, thanks a million for everybody for coming in to talk to us today. We're back tomorrow.